Today's clip is from a call last week with a freelance graphic designer who was trying to understand if he had a job or a business. Here's the clip.
Well, very interesting. Yeah, that does sound a little bit that does sound a little bit exciting. What I'm curious to know is, do you feel like the what you just described? Do you feel you're creating a job or you're creating a business? Okay, I understand. Thanks for clarifying that. I understand. So what I challenge you is to actually consider what you just described by selling time for money. You're actually creating a job. It's great that you have your own clients. It's great that you've gone out there and you're getting new clients and you're focusing on that. But ultimately, you're only working with one client at a time, and you're doing it with by selling your time for money. Right now, the byproduct of selling time for money is time is the only finite resource you have. Right, like that is the most finite resource you have. Once it's gone, it's gone. There's no way to replenish it unless you're friends with the doctor or you have a time machine. It's really challenging. It's really impossible to be able to replenish time once it's gone. Right, so when you look at it through that lens, what you've described by selling time for money is very similar to getting a full-time job somewhere where you clock in at 9 a.m. and you clock out at 5 p.m. and you get paid from 9 to 5 p.m. It's very similar to what you're doing. Only the subtle difference is that rather than clocking in from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., you can clock in from 10 till 2 and then again at 4 a.m. till 6 a.m. Right? You've created some level of flexibility, but fundamentally, because you're still selling your time for money, you've got a job. Now, when you take the steps to start to form a business, what you're going to start to do is you're going to start to focus on results. Rather than selling time for money, you're going to start selling results. And this is one of the big things that very few people realize is the difference between people that work at jobs and people that run businesses. Is with a business, your entire purpose is to become an expert of something so you can guarantee results to a customer. So you can deliver a customer some known result. When they come to you, you can be like, I am the expert in graphic design. I will deliver you the perfect logo. And as a result of delivering you the perfect logo, it's going to cost you $20,000. As opposed to, I'm a graphic designer, I have this very specific skill, and you can rent the skill for me on an hourly basis at a rate of $25 to $50 an hour. Right? They're two fundamentally different approaches. With one, you're structuring it differently. You're doing, okay, you know what, you've got a pool of hours. You can, I'll do up to 100 hours of design work every month, but it's still tied to time. It's still tied to having a job, right? The difference in what you've actually structured is it's a little bit riskier than having a job, actually, because when you look at a job, there are people in the organization that are responsible for finding customers and bringing money in. But by structuring it around time for money, because you have a limited amount of time and you're selling your time, you can never sell 100% of your time, right? And by 100%, I don't mean like 24 hours a day. I mean, okay, let's say 16, right? That still gives you about 8 hours to sleep every night. So even in the situation you've engineered, you can't sell 16 hours a day every single day of the year, because as a byproduct of creating that job for yourself, you also have to go out and get the customers. Now, if you look at that through the lens of a business where you're selling a known solution to a customer, you're helping a customer understand, it doesn't matter if it takes 1 hour or it takes 50 hours. Ultimately, to the customer, they know they're going to get to that destination, right? I want you to try and think of it like this. If you take a plane from one destination to another, imagine if they charged you per minute. Fundamentally, that's what their costs are. The costs of operating a plane are per minute. There's a per minute amortization of the maintenance of the equipment. There's a per minute consumption of the fuel. There's a per minute amortization of the staff, of the pilot. You can amortize everything when you're doing a flight into a cost per minute. What do they do instead? They charge you for the destination. Because what happens if you're on that plane and all of a sudden there's strong winds and it takes you an extra 30 minutes to get to your destination? As a customer, would you want to land at your destination and say, wait, you can't get off the plane yet. We need your credit card. We need to charge you for the extra 30 minutes you were in the air. What sort of experience would that create? Right? Because that would be the byproduct of them selling time for money. Instead, what they do is they sell a known result. By this time, we will get you at that destination. And even if they miss that, even, they say, we'll get you to Toronto by 7 p.m. and they get you there at 7:30 as a customer. Sure, it's a little frustrating, but you still got to your destination. Right? You're not going to go back to them and go, give me a refund, because you still got to your destination, right? So I suggest you try and look at it through the lens of how can you repackage and reposition what you're doing so there's a known result. So rather than you charging your clients, per hour, try and charge them for a known result. Or, one example might be with graphic design is rather than, charging them per hour to build a, it's like one of those infographics, right? You would charge them for the infographic, $250 per infographic, $500 per infographic, $1,000 per infographic. Because now what the customer does when they come to you is they go, okay, I need an infographic. It's $250, $500, $1,000. Great. Is this worth $1,000 to me? Yes, it is. Great. I'll engage with you. As opposed to, looking at it through the lens of, Oh, it's per hour. Well, how many hours does that take? Oh, it takes 10 hours. Well, my son told me he can, do something similar in Photoshop in about 30 minutes, right? Like it creates all of these different experiences when you're focused on trying to basically create a job versus creating a business, right? So give that a shot and let me know how that works for you.
I hope you found that clip useful. Let me know in the comments below. Do you have a job or a business? If you found that video helpful, please smash that like button and be sure to subscribe. I release more videos like this every Wednesday. If you're a first-time business owner, freelancer, or startup founder that's struggling to get your business to grow predictably, in the description below, you'll find a link for a complimentary one-on-one session with me.